Hello my loves and welcome to another video. Now today I'm going to be sharing what to do and not to do on Halloween. So obviously Halloween is coming up very soon. So obviously it's a pagan holiday. So it's originally called Samhain. So basically what this holiday is all about is really energetically the veil is very thin at this time. So I'm going to recommend 5 things that you can do that I personally normally do myself. That will best use this energy also to protect yourself, and 5 things that I highly recommend you don't do during this time. Before we get into this video, I'd highly appreciate if you like and subscribe so you don't miss my future uploads. If you want to see a part 2 to this video, which will be all about satanic dark rituals that happen around this time during Halloween, that elitist groups and secret societies get up to, then go ahead and become a member of my Patreon, or you can purchase it separately. So I'll leave the link down below as always. So let's get straight into it. So I'll start with the positives. So the number one thing I highly recommend you do, and what I usually do, is do some sort of protection spells. So during Halloween, like I said, the veil is very thin. So paranormal activity, spirits, you know, lower vibrational entities can cause a bit of mischief. They can become a bit turbulent around this time. It's far easier for them to cross over. So this is why it's very important that, especially if you're quite an open sort of person, or practicing an occultist, or if you're a medium or whatever, or just a very empathic open person, it's very important that you ward off your house, that you protect yourself. So this is especially important when you go to bed. So what I highly recommend you do is to actually do some sort of protective warding and mechanism around your bed. So what I usually do is I put a little bit of salt in each corner. So just get preferably like sea salt, natural sort of salt, not really table salt, but if that's all you have, then just use that. But I do recommend some sort of, you know, stronger, really raw natural salt. And put just a little pile in each corner, and probably leave that for like the next 2 to 3 nights, and then you can like get rid of it. You know, just flush it down the toilet. So that will help kind of create a warding. And you can also add sort of like black crystals, so black tourmaline, black onyx, any sort of warding energy. And then when you go to bed, I highly recommend having some sort of a light on. So even if it's like just a little tea light, of course, safely, because obviously with Samhain, it's like the beginning of darkness. This is what the whole pagan rituals and celebrations were about. It's like it's the first night of the upcoming darkness of winter that is going to be, you know, the next season change, basically. So really embrace that, but to kind of do a slight spell of like keeping light throughout winter within yourself and around your body, aura, life, house. I do recommend having some sort of tea light candle or some sort of candle that can burn through the night, just to have some sort of lights within the darkness. So this will add an added layer of protection, and also kind of be like a very subtle spell that you will have a light within you and around you during this time of darkness. So it's kind of like a double whammy. So it's a good one to do and very simple. Another thing I highly recommend doing is before you go to bed, do some sort of prayer, do some sort of like protection, chants, affirmation. Also do a visualization of like a sphere around your beds. So really clearly, as much as you can, imagine having like a bubble of light, or even a sphere of copper around you, kind of like a shield, and it's spinning really, really, really fast. So just do it in whatever way you're able to do, but as long as it's some sort of sphere that is like completely encompassing your bed and yourself, that's what's most important. So another thing I recommend is doing some sort of house protection spell. So you can do this very, very simply with either visualizing like a grid around your house. So again, similar to what you would do when you're in bed, but envision it completely around your house. So obviously this is a bit more advanced and it takes a lot more focus. But if you can envision that, preferably during a meditation, or just sit quietly, you know, and just have that few minutes to really visualize that and affirm it. But a physical thing that you can do to reinforce that is actually boil some hot water well, just water, and put it in a bowl with salt. So of course, put a little bit of cold in it so you don't burn your finger, because you're going to be needing to dip your finger in it. So just get a bowl of salt, and literally on your front door, preferably on the outside of the door, just draw some sort of protection sigil or symbol. So what I'll normally do is just like dip my finger in it and draw like a pentagram, and then like with a circle around it. Or another protective symbol you can do is literally just a sign of a cross. If you do have that connection to Christ, Jesus, that's a very good protective spell to use. Another symbol you can use is the double V's. So again, this symbol is linked more to the Virgin Mary. So it's literally, it kind of looks like a W, it's just two V's. So it's like that and that, like two V's crossing over. So if you do that, yeah, that's it. If you do that on your door, just with the water, and you can do all three if you want, just to be safe. But whatever symbol that you normally use or you feel most drawn to or like, but those three I highly recommend. So they're all quite powerful when it comes to warding off evil, spirits, darkness, negative energy. But make sure you do this on every single door. So your back doors for the garden and also the front door. Another thing I would highly recommend is actually doing this on mirrors as well. So if you don't want to put the water on the mirror, you can actually just use like sage smoke. So using like sage or Palo Santo or some sort of cleansing smoke, or even frankincense, anything again that you feel connected to in regards to protection, you can just put almost like a protective ward on the mirror. Again, using your mind's visualization, but in conjunction with the smoke or with the water. Normally, like I have quite a lot of mirrors in my house. So what I would do is, like, especially for big ones, because I don't want to get water all over it, I'll just use my sage stick and I'll just do like a massive like pentagram, but with a circle, an upright pentagram. Okay, do not do an upside down one, please. So that is a satanic symbol. Okay, I don't give a shit what other people say, that is dark. It's the same with any symbol. So it's the same with the crucifix. It's the same with even the Virgin Mary's V's. Any sort of protective symbol, if you invert it, if you flip it upside down, it becomes dark. It invites negative energy as opposed to warding it off. So make sure that you do that. And this is what people get confused about the pentagram, when they just think, oh, it's demonic when they see it upright. It's not. It's the same as a crucifix. So, you know, it's like when that's upside down, of course, that's going to be dark, but it's the same with the pentagram. So upright is protective. Upside down is inverted, because it's like it's flipping you. It's flipping all your elements within you and around you to be inverted. So another thing you can do is, of course, divination spells, and any form of divination will be far more potent and powerful at this time, because of course the veil is thin, so you'll be able to get much greater insights. I don't really recommend doing spells or anything for other people though. Do it more for yourself. So even with me, I've made sure that I don't do any readings for anyone on Halloween. But I definitely will be doing my own rituals, my own readings and that sort of thing, any sort of energy work for myself. So do that. But again, I'll get into the forms that I don't recommend. But the safe forms of divination that I do recommend is, of course, any sort of tarot readings, any sort of like scrying, but don't use a mirror. So I do not recommend doing any sort of mirror spells during this time. That's probably the only one I don't recommend, because mirrors are portals. So if you don't want to see any sort of darker spirits or entities, or again, letting them in, I highly, highly recommend do not do any sort of mirror work during this time. Because like I said, it can almost be like a gateway for them to get into your home and then to latch on to you. So you want to be locking all doors. You want to be warding off your house. You want to be putting protective sigils on your front doors and back doors, and also on the mirrors. So if you were to do that, but then do mirror magic or mirror ritual or spell or whatever, like scrying in a mirror, it kind of undoes it. And then you may see really horrid, you know, visuals. Again, like some people, it's kind of like hit and miss. Some people may not experience that, but it's like when you're doing a Ouija board, which I'll get into later, you're kind of playing with fire. So it's like, yeah, it might not happen, but there's a high chance it can, especially during this time. But unfortunately, darker entities, demonic entities will be more, you know, hungry and thirsty to make contact, to get your attention, to be seen, to, you know, get in, basically. As it's kind of like the watchers, they're always waiting, they're always watching to get, you know, their foot into the door. So don't create a doorway for them, and mirrors are definitely a doorway, so be very cautious of that, and I do not recommend doing that. So other forms of scrying you can do is like flames, just staring into a flame, water, so looking into a bowl of water, or, you know, even clouds, if you have like clouds. So anything like that is fine. More like elemental scrying is cool. This is like a perfect time to be doing any sort of cleansing and banishment spells. So that's the next one. So basically this, I do recommend doing for this particular Halloween, cleansing and banishment spell work, because it's literally around the time of the new moon. So this is the best potent time to do any form of spell work, to be releasing energy or banishing energy. So there's a difference between cleansing yourself and banishment work. So banishment work is more for, like, of course, spirits. If you have any spirits in the house, if you have any sort of things, you know, astral parasites connected to you, attached to you, if you could feel some sort of, like, you know, heaviness within you and you want to, like, get it out, it's a very good time for that. So for that, I recommend doing cord cuttings. It's the same for physical people as well. So if you have, like, a bully or someone who's, like, just always pulling on your energy, or, you know, anyone that's toxic within your space, your life, and you kind of want to just get rid of them, you can do a cord cutting. So I highly recommend doing a cord cutting. That will be a really, really good time, either on Halloween night or the next day. So on the actual full moon, sorry, the new moon on Friday. So that would be a better time, to be honest. So if you want to do a cord cutting, I recommend doing it on the new moon on the 1st of November. So for yourself, you can also do like a more intensive new moon cleansing bath ritual. So this will be more intense, especially if you do it at midnight on Halloween or at nighttime during the new moon on the 1st of November. So you can basically put a lot of salt in, any sort of herbs that you like. But I really, really recommend using rue herb, so R-U-E. Do not use it if you're pregnant because it can be dangerous for pregnant women. Because rue herb is known to be basically one of the most potent herbs to banish evil spirits. So it's very good to use in conjunction with burning frankincense. Dragon's blood is another very good thing to use. So just any sort of herbs that you have around. But if you don't have any of that, just using salt in a bath, and even putting crystals that are safe to do so in the bath water will also be good. And if you want to take it up a notch, you can again do a kind of conjunction spell ritual. So you can do what I've done quite a few times and have had amazing experiences with, is doing a meditation in the bath. So that you almost go like in a trance-like state within the water. So I haven't really shared this much yet, but a few times I've actually done spells when I'm sat in the bath, because kind of similar to a mirror, but more safe, water is like a portal. It's a very spiritual element. So when you're doing spell work in water, it amplifies it even more so. It really, but it's also very cleansing. So this is why it makes it more safe. So, but what I would normally do is put on some sort of trance-like music. So, but high vibrational ones. Do not put lower frequency, any sort of satanic music, obviously. So put some sort of like 432 hertz, 528 hertz, you know, high vibrational frequency music, or any sort of music that will get you in like a trance-like state. So recently I've been loving sort of like Nordic Viking music, like for some reason, because I know I have Viking blood. My father told me recently. So I know I'll have Viking ancestors somewhere. I have a very mixed bloodlines. So that's one of them, along with Greek and along with Portuguese. So I'm very mixed, but with that, it's like it does something to me. So I instantly get such a amazing sort of like trance-like energy like that. So for me personally, music I use as a very powerful tool in my rituals, in my ceremonies, in my spell work, because for me it's one of the most quickest ways to instantly change my energy, instantly like get into that mindset powerfully. But it has to be certain music. So if you want to do a ritual to kind of like look into your past lives, this is a very powerful way to do that. But this is more advanced. It kind of will only work if you're used to meditation. For me, I've been meditating, you know, for a very, very long time, like 10 years now. But if you're quite, you know, new to it, you can still give it a go. Just use the music, use the water, put in the rue herb, the salt. You know, make sure you cast a circle as well of protection. So in your mind, before you do anything like this, say, you know, I cast a circle of protection around me. No negative energy that can harm me can enter it. So mote it be. So do some sort of like clear indication of that. So you have like that circle of protection. And then you can go ahead and do this. So, and then you can get some sort of insight. You can look at past lives. I had a very powerful one that I'll never forget. Two actually doing this method. So, but bear in mind, it can bring up, depending what past life comes to you, it can be upsetting. You may like cry, because it's kind of like you're reliving it. It can give you insight into who you are or what you went through, what your ancestors went through. So this is a very powerful time to connect to your ancestors, but in a safe way. So this is the other thing that I'll recommend. So the next one is, this is a powerful time to connect to your ancestors, and to do astral travel, lucid dreaming, meditation. So like there's so much you can do this time of year. This is why it's my favorite time of year. You know, I love autumn and I love this time of year, literally because it's like there's the possibilities are endless in regards to divination and spiritual work. So, but in regards to your ancestors, so with the bath cleansing, you can just do a normal bath cleansing. You can release, you know, all the negative energy off you. You can ask Source, Spirit, Jesus, whoever that you connect with, to cleanse you and to remove all dark energy from your body during the bath cleansing. And then just let it go down the drain whilst you're still in the bath. So, and then have a shower afterwards. But basically, if you want to like more connect to your ancestors, do the meditation ritual in the bath, like I just explained. Or you can do offerings, so you can actually set up an altar. You can, you know, leave offerings, so leave like food, incense, you know, anything like that. I don't recommend leaving any sort of like dark, low vibrational offerings. So for me personally, I will not recommend leaving bloods, even your own menstrual blood, not on Halloween, and even meat, anything that has blood. I don't recommend milk. I mean, I'm vegan obviously, but so I never do that, but I don't recommend leaving anything that will have any sort of like negative energy that's linked to blood sacrifice, blood, death, fear, pain, suffering. So it's like, be very careful what you're leaving out. Again, it's kind of like spiritual hygiene with yourself. Do it when you're leaving offerings to the spirit worlds. I don't recommend leaving anything like that, even not on Halloween. So leave more like beautiful things. So it could be like dried flowers, you know, fruits, incense, resin, jewelry, like just nice, pretty things. You know, that sort of stuff. Ethical honey is actually fine. So raw ethical honey from like, you know, a farm that the bees haven't been, you know, killed and treated horribly. So, you know, that sort of thing is fine. You can ask for guidance, you know, but again, do the casting circle of protection. Just sit in meditative states, really. You can dance, you can, you know, like I was saying before, you can dance to the sort of music that you think your ancestors would have danced to. If you're, you know, able to, you can even light a bonfire. You can have, you know, a dance party like that, you know, on your own or with friends or whatever. Do that sort of thing, you know, celebrate it in a safe way. Really get wild and get into your roots, and connect to your ancestors, or connect to some sort of, even if like deities that you work with closely, you know, who experience practitioners only. You know, this is not a good time for baby witches or very unexperienced people to be, wanted to connect to, you know, Hecate or Isis or, you know, some sort of deity. Because it can be very, very dangerous trying to do that when you're not experienced. There's a high chance it could be a trickster spirit, which I've warned about many times. So do it safely. And this is why the safest thing normally is, you know, ancestors, spirit guides, but you must do it from a high vibrational place. Do not be drunk. Do not be high. Do not be under the influence of any substances either, especially on Halloween nights. So, because that will weaken your aura when the veil is already thin. So I'm going to get into the don'ts now because it basically links to that. So number one, which I have mentioned before in the past, is do not do a Ouija boards. Do not do seances. Do not do anything that is like, trying to contact the dead or a ghost, or just trying to do any sort of paranormal thing for fun and for laughs. Because it won't be. If you connect to something or open the doorway to something very dark, you won't be laughing anymore. They can literally kill you. They can destroy your life. So I do not say this lightly. Trust me, I'm someone who has gone through my whole life on and off dealing with entities. And it is very, very real. It is very, very dangerous if you open that door and then you let in something, because they can be very difficult to get rid of. They can be very stubborn and they can be extremely destructive. So like I warned about in other videos, in my spiritual psychosis video, do not do anything like this, especially if you're just, you know, doing it for a laugh. And do not do anything like, you know, Bloody Mary, you know, when you look in the mirror and try to summon things. And, you know, don't do anything like that because it's just so foolish. So I highly recommend staying away from anything like that, even spirit boxes, ghost hunting. It's very foolish because yes, it can be fun and games, but if you actually contact something that is very dark, it can destroy your life. Like, the consequences can be absolutely severe. So again, it's playing with fire. So it's like nothing might happen, but then something could happen. Or you could have a trickster spirit. So a lot of the times you can like try to summon something. So if you're trying to actually contact your dead granny, or you know, someone like that you know who's passed on, it's very likely that you could connect to something that's pretending to be them. So you're not talking to granny, you're talking to a demon. And trust me, I've had so many clients had this experience. Like, you know, I've had years of experience with this myself and helping people who have gone through this sort of thing. So it's not to be messed with. It's not to be taken lightly, because it's kind of like, once the damage is done, once that door has been opened, the astral door, it's very, very hard to get rid of. It's kind of the same with using a pendulum at this time as well. I wouldn't recommend doing that. So like I was saying before, certain divination things will be fine, unless you're a very experienced, you know, witch, healer, spiritualist. And you know what you're doing, you know how to protect yourself, you know how to cast out negative energy. If you're not, I don't recommend doing any sort of like, you know, intense divination things. Anything that could be influenced negatively. So even be careful with tarot. So if you're kind of like a newbie to that, I would probably not do that. Maybe just wait until Monday. But it's still risky. So because sometimes the last thing you want is like a dark entity that's lingering around, to negatively influence your reading, and then it freaks you out, and now you've induced fear, and now you're going to go down the negative timeline. Because remember, the future is never ever set in stone. You can always change your path. You can always change the future. So when it comes to divination, it's literally a mirror. It's kind of showing you where you're at currently, where you're going, like I said in my tarot and crystals exposed video ages ago. So bear that in mind. It's kind of like just showing you a glimpse of like your current energy and where your current energy will lead you to. So be very careful of that. But the unfortunate thing, if you're kind of like easily influenced and easily spooked, if you get a very dark reading, it can, like, especially on Halloween, it can put that plant in your head, that seed in your head, and then you could be like, fuck, and then really start to freak out. So this is why, if you're not mentally very strong, prepared, experienced, I would not do anything like that. If you do want one-to-one help and spiritual guidance from myself, or I use a very large card spread and my own intuition and knowledge, of course, and experience to help you with any sort of issues, problems, or guidance that you need, then please click the link down below. I actually do have a Halloween sale on at the minute, so I have 20% off. You can book in a spot as soon as you want, and I'll be more than happy to help you. So the next thing I don't recommend doing is basically allowing yourself to get very drunk or high during Halloween nights, and the next night and the next night, because the energy kind of bleeds through. So the most stupid thing you could do during Halloween night, and there's a very solid reason as to why this has been glamorized and pushed onto literally all of society, is to go out just half naked and drink until you're completely wasted, go out partying, sleep with a stranger. And yeah, that's probably the worst thing you could do during this time. Or literally just getting drunk or taking any sort of drug. So this includes psychedelics. I do not recommend doing anything like that. Anything that opens your aura. But if you're combining opening your aura through getting drunk, getting high, smoking weed, doing any sort of psychedelics, in conjunction with partying, in conjunction with sleeping around or shagging someone you barely know or has dodgy energy, like, that is an absolute recipe for disaster. You will 1,000,000% be at risk of any sort of like dark entity attachment, because during this time, I mean, that alone is risky, but during this time, it's like times 10. So if you are going or planning on going to any sort of Halloween parties, one, I recommend not going to any sort of clubs, because they always are like a hub for very low vibrational energy. I never go to clubs. So I really, really don't recommend that. Because like I've mentioned a few times before, you know, that is an absolute recipe for disaster because there are many things that are looking to feed off your energy. And if you are emitting an energy of, like, you know, sexual energy, especially when you're drunk or high and your aura is very open, you're such at risk for like getting any sort of energy attachments, but not just externally, that could be like within and around you, but especially from the other people. So if you are especially in a club and you are surrounded by drunk people, they will be attracting so many people, because clubs always have very low vibrational energy. So some worse than others, depending on what sort of like area it is. But for me, clubs are like a massive red zone. So, but if you are around people who are drunk, you'll naturally kind of feel a bit off. So it's kind of like you're in, like, you know, the den of lions. So like, so many people don't realize that if you're out and about and you're dancing in a club and you're having loads of alcohol, you're completely out your mind, wasted, and you're dressed half naked as some, like, I don't know, slutty vampire, or like, you know what I mean? Like, and then you're, getting off with a man dressed like a killer clown. That is like a satanic ritual. And then you are literally like giving your energy and exchanging your energy with that stranger or with that guy you barely know. So or even your partner, if you're with someone that has really bad dark energy, it's the same sort of thing. So it's like the energy exchange between people will be even more potent at this time. So this is why I was saying, don't even do spells for other people at this time. Keep it very focused on yourself. So, but if you were to do anything like that, so having any sort of sexual exchange, it's so risky at this time, because you don't want someone to be basically giving you a STD, and I don't mean just a physical one, but an actual spiritual one, so a sexually transmitted demon, during this time, or just all their darkness going into you, because everyone has like a whole host of energy within them. So it's not even that they may have actual, you know, entity attachments. It can be like all their trauma, all their darkness, all their addictions, all their hatreds and anger and suppressed things, and, you know, even things from their bloodlines, generational curses, generational trauma, you know, abuse they've endured, abuse they've given. You don't want that tasting your energy, trust me. You don't want that going into your field. So if you're doing that, especially at this time of year, it's a fucking recipe for disaster. So be really, really careful who you have any sort of, you know, energy exchanges with in that way. And keep your aura shielded. So kind of like I was saying with your house, your body is your house. Your body is your spiritual house. So it's like, the equivalent is like leaving your front door open all the fucking time. So if you're always getting stoned, getting high, drinking, getting drunk, having all of these things that open your aura, it's the same thing as leaving the front door of your house unlocked and open at night time, just for anyone to wander in whenever they want and take what they want, you know, take thief things. It's kind of like, you know, because that's what spirits do, but they come into your auric field and they take your energy. So, and that is far more valuable than anything. That is your energetic currency. That is your spiritual currency, is your life force. So I don't want to, you know, I have to express this time and time and time again, especially in a day and age where there's so many ex-witches running to Christ, running to the church. This is why, because every single ex-witch I see was drinking, doing drugs, in a toxic relationship, sleeping around, doing dark magic, doing love spells. Like, no fucking wonder. No wonder. What do you expect? It's like, what do you expect to happen when you're messing with things like that and having no protection? You can't be a spiritualist or an occultist or a witch and be so careless and reckless with your energy. It's an unpopular opinion, but it's the truth. And not many people want to hear it because they are so attached to these low vibrational addictions. It's their vices. It's linked to their trauma. But it's the only thing that protects you. And this is why so many people run to the church. It's like a subtle version of what elitist people do with their Halloween rituals, with their Halloween ceremonies. It's very, very similar. It's still of a dark satanic vibration. So whenever there is sex involved, being provocative, just sharing and giving your sexual energy away, being intoxicated through drug abuse or, you know, alcohol abuse or whatever, it's so similar to what they do. It's like a mild baby version of what they do. And this is why they brainwash people to do this every Halloween. It's a trick. It's a fucking trick to make you get negative attachments to lower your frequency, because it is so dangerous to do that. But most people won't know that unless they understand occultism and understand spiritual philosophy and all of these teachings, which the church does not teach you either. They just demonize everything. So this is why, for me personally, I'm like, I've always been on the middle path. I'm basically like an esoteric Christian, to be honest. But I do not identify as being a Christian. I have a strong love and belief for Jesus, but I do not identify or go to church. I do not go to any sort of man-made religion, because all of them have been very corrupted, and that's why they're so misogynistic. And there's a lot of Satanism in the church, ironically. That's a whole other video. So another thing I recommend is not to induce too much fear, ironically, around this time. So another thing that obviously is very popularized during Halloween is to go and watch, you know, really dark, scary videos. So I'm not saying that you can't, you know, tell ghost stories, that you can't watch a ghost film, a paranormal film. Like I myself, I love certain paranormal films, you know, ones that are more truthful, that sort of thing, like I've said before. But don't watch, you know, films that are like really satanic. So do not watch Longlegs. Do not watch Terrifier. Do not watch any sort of films that are borderline snuff films. Because again, like I've said, more so on my Patreon, this is the sort of shit that happens in real life. And they want you to be seeing it. They want that going into your subconscious. They want to desensitize you to the most disgusting, vile, gory things, because that is literally what they love. That is literally what they want to promote. They want to normalize it. So if you're basically, it's like you're being a witness to a satanic ritual, really, when you watch those films on a very deep level. So please stay away from watching anything that has just a very strong satanic energy, or any sort of very excessive, gory films. So with Longlegs, there's a certain song he sings, and I haven't watched that film because just watching the trailer really gave me bad vibes. And there's a certain song that he sings. Again, I saw it against my will, just scrolling the algorithm ages ago. But he basically sang this song, and it's like a spell to let things in, because he literally is singing about letting in the devil. It's just kind of like certain films will have real rituals. Certain films will have very dark chanting spells within them. But more so to do with Satanism, more so to do with like child murder or really horrible, gory murder towards women and children especially. So please stay away from those sort of films. Like, it's okay to watch like Alien, or, you know, like creepy sort of gothic ghost films. Like, all of that's fine. That's not satanic. That's just showing the spirit world, which, yeah, it can be creepy. It's not satanic, but it can be creepy. But in regards to, it's a certain energy, and this is why you need to develop your discernment. This is why it's so important to develop your intuition, so you can feel when something is like, no. That is not something I should be watching or looking at. But it's kind of like common sense as well. So anything that's like got any sort of gore mixed in with grape, you know what I mean, towards women or men or anything like that, that is literally like a satanic ritual on screen. That is what they do in real life. So please bear that in mind, and don't be putting that in your mind, especially on Halloween, because that is like you partaking in a satanic ritual and then letting something in, because you've let it into your mind. So this is why, you know, negative beings are very sneaky in the way that they worm their way to you into your consciousness. So this is like a very, very deep, even psychological way to hex you. So I hope you enjoyed this video, my loves. Again, if you want a one-to-one session with me to have an oracle reading that is safe, then click the link down below and I'll be more than happy to help you. If you want to learn more and actually learn about the truth about what these occultists get up to, and, you know, why you need to be careful when you are practicing this sort of thing yourself, then click the link down below where you can join my Patreon and access a whole host, a whole library of contents. I do now have an option to buy videos on their own. So you can actually now just purchase it without becoming a member. So for example, if you really want to do a cord cutting ritual, a cord cutting spell, which I recommended before, which will be a perfect time to do during Halloween, then you can actually purchase that on its own without becoming a member. If you are a member, then of course you already have access to it. But if you want to view that and practice it in time for Halloween, or preferably more so the new moon, so this Friday, or Saturday, but I feel Friday will probably be the best time to do it. then you can purchase it on its own, and any other videos I have there. And I have a few other card readings and rituals as well. So until next time, my loves, I'm sending you so much love, so much light. Stay safe this Halloween. Happy Samhain. And I'm sending you so much light. Ahimsa.